Welcome to another exciting episode of In Conversation with Alethia. I'm your host, Alethia O'Hara-Stephenson. In each episode, I sit down with amazing individuals who are doing incredible things in our community. The show will educate, it will empower, and it will inspire you. On this episode, I am honored to have two incredible trailblazers sharing their story and their work with us today. We have Dr. Hilda Fankah-Arthur, and we also have Patrick Arthur. Hilda is a founder of the World Diversity in Leadership Conference, and Patrick is the executive director. So thank you for spending time with us to share all about your amazing and your inspiring journey. Thank you for being in conversation with Alethia.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us, Alethia. Thanks for the opportunity.
Amazing, amazing. I'm so excited to have this conversation. And I know selfishly, I've had the opportunity to work with both of you in the past on the World Diversity in Leadership Conference. But before we even get into that rich conversation, I want to touch on each of your individual backgrounds respectively first. And I want to start with you, Dr. Hilda. You recently completed your terminal degree, and that's the title, doctor. So I want to take a moment to celebrate you and give you your flowers and say congratulations. That is an amazing accomplishment. And what does it feel like?
Thank you. Thank you for all the support, Alethia, to Whittle and to our personal journey as well. You've been such a great supporter of our work, and we appreciate you for all the work that you do in the community. Yes, it's been quite a journey getting to the doctoral degree completion and getting the title. But I do share this accomplishment with so many people who have contributed to me getting to this point, particularly my family, whom I have sacrificed their time a lot to get this work done. It's been quite a sacrifice, not for me alone, but for everybody who has been on this journey, some from the beginning, some in the middle. And it's been very appreciated from my end for everything that I have gone through. One advice that I always give to people is don't always look forward to the end goal, which at this point would be getting a PhD or a doctoral degree. But look at the journey, the experiences. Appreciate every experience that you go through along the way. And that is what I am really appreciating as I've come to the end of this. But I really thank everybody. And I look forward to sharing the knowledge and expertise with all people around me.
Amazing. I love that. And I love the fact that you touched on that journey, even though you had to put in the hard work and the dedication, but acknowledging the support that you received from your family, and particularly your husband, who was there every step of the journey with you. So Patrick, as the cheerleader, as the champion, what does it feel like to have a doctor in the family?
Well, it felt exciting, and I feel we've accomplished the milestone. Actually, looking at where we came from, how the journey started, and what we went through to get to the final doctoral degree. I think it's a great accomplishment and an inspiration to our kids. They all look forward, especially the young one, Duke. He always called them that, mommy, what's your doctorate in? Doctor of Philosophy, right? And it's an inspiration to them. So we look forward to more accomplishment, more opportunities ahead, and see how best we can at least go from here.
Amazing, amazing. I love that. And just talking about your own accomplishments and journey, I don't want to just shine the light on Hilda, but I also want to shine the light on you as well. You are an accomplished cybersecurity specialist as well, with a master's. So I want to take a moment to give you your flowers. And in that same light, I want to just transition a little bit from cybersecurity to policy analyst to now focusing on world diversity. How did we get from your individual background to finding the need to be able to put on a world diversity conference? And I'll throw the ball over to you first, Patrick.
Oh, okay. So, I think Hilda would be the best person to really answer this, but I will chip it in because she is actually the founder of the Center for Intellectual Excellence, which is the organization, a nonprofit organization based here in Alberta, established in 2019. That was her dream. She wanted to create an organization that will serve as a resource hub for people with various professional backgrounds to have the opportunity to share their career journey and goals, and then for other people to also learn from. So the only thing the time that I came in was this was an excellent idea looking at the future generations, and I said, okay, can I come in? I can give you all the needed support that I have to, as a husband, as a partner, and as somebody who also believes in the vision. So Hilda, as the founder, do you want to say what really inspired you?
Love that.
Yes, of course. Alethia, thank you for that question. As individuals contributing our quota to our communities and society, we have to look at our lives as interconnected with different identities that we hold coming together. So as an individual, I identify as a Black immigrant woman working my way through my education, which is what brought me to Canada. So looking at my educational journey, coming in to start my doctoral degree in Canada, for instance, what were some of the challenges that I went through, which I learned from and felt that I can share some of the lessons to help others overcome some of the gaps so that people do not have to necessarily go through the same challenges if there is an opportunity for them to address some of these issues head on. So that is one aspect that I looked at as I was going through the process of establishing CFI and leading on to WIDO. Another area I looked at is coming from academia, that is starting my PhD, teaching at the University of Alberta as a principal instructor, and transitioning into a career in the government world as a policy advisor and as a policy and program specialist. How did I transition from the academic world to a policy world? And what are some of the lessons and some of the resources that supported me through that journey? So how do I let others learn how to do that transition? And even getting into the policy world, as you may already know, academia is not the same as working in a government field or doing policy work. So how do you sift through the two worlds and make the best contribution in any way that you find yourself? So what are some of the things that I learned from that professional aspect of my life as a policy analyst, as a policy and program specialist in a government institution, first with the provincial government and then now with the federal government? So what are some of the things that I can pass on to others? And for those that I do not have the expertise to address, that is outside my scope of expertise, how do I create a space so that I can get other professionals who are able to address these issues to support others? So looking at my life, for instance, as a mother, I had questions come in to me from other parents who are trying to navigate the journey for their children. For instance, as an immigrant, how do I support my child who is transitioning from elementary to post-secondary and support them through that decision-making process? I do not have kids at that level yet, so I do not have all the answers, but I do know there are so many experienced people, parents, immigrants from different backgrounds who have navigated that pathway and could support others. If somebody comes to me and they have a question in education and policy, I can jump in and give all the advice that I want to give. But if somebody comes to me, which I did get a lot, and they come with a question about criminal law or nursing or other areas that are not my expertise. I do not have the knowledge to be able to advise them in the best way possible. But I realized there were so many experienced people who could also give that knowledge as well. So that is what led to me establishing or coming up with the idea for Center for Intellectual Excellence. The goal was to create a platform where we can house all these resources and present them to people at the point where they need it most in a way that is most meaningful to them. You realize that most of this information you can find on the internet. You can research and Google and come up with information on how to navigate your way through the systems as presented to everybody. But there is a way that when somebody who has a similar background and has practically navigated these spaces shares that experience with you, yeah, you're able to connect with it more. And knowing that from my own experiences and having gotten that support from different people. I have an amazing supervisor, for instance, Dr. Korabo Bapewax, who really supported me and gave me so much guidance throughout my work. And I was like, people need to get that. People need to be able to connect with others that way in order to be able to overcome certain hurdles and challenges and better build out their inner potential and reach the highest potential possible as we all seek out for. So that is what led to the establishment of CFI, mainly to have a platform where information and resources can be made available, initially for education and career advancement, but as we moved on, we expanded to institutions needed information to better support actions, community leaders, policymakers, others all needing resources in certain ways that is most equitable and most effective in bringing about change and supporting the future generations.
That's incredibly inspiring, Hilda, and thank you for going into great detail to share. And what I love about what you've just shared with us is out of a need, out of a desire to see change and make a better way for others, CEFI was born. And for you to have the fortitude, for you to have a vision to put something like this forward is absolutely amazing and so beneficial, serving so many individuals, not just from in Alberta, but from across the globe. That is absolutely inspiring. And one of the things that I love about what you have shared in your messaging, Hilda, is the fact that it's community focused, it's community centered. So it's not just about doing something that serves your need, but you're expanding that out so that others can grow, others can learn, and creating a platform where different experts can come and share their knowledge and share their lived experience. So this is absolutely amazing. And we're going to take a short break and we're going to pick up the conversation shortly, talking about the World Diversity Conference and how that came about as a result of CEFI. So stay tuned. We will be right back. Welcome back to In Conversation with Alethia. I am joined by Dr. Hilda Fankah-Arthur, and we also have Patrick Arthur joining us all the way from Alberta. Thank you so much once again. And we left off the conversation talking about how CEFI was born, and we want to talk about now how the World Diversity in Leadership Conference was born as a result of CEFI. How long has the World Diversity in Leadership Conference been going on? When did it start? Why did you start it? Did you want to start, Hilda, or let's put Patrick on the hot seat for
Thanks, Alethia. So the World Diversity Leadership Conference was born in 2020. Obviously, after the George Floyd's issue that came up in 2020, there was a lot of uprising activism going on, talking about equity and stuff, right? So we thought about it and we're like, why don't we create a platform where we will bring community leaders, policymakers, people in high places, people who are the experts, together to have a kind of discussion on issues that are actually affecting the communities every year, and then discuss some of these things so that instead of activism, we rather want to create a serene atmosphere where people can share, or people can be vulnerable and share their experience and probably have the opportunity to also learn. So that's what gave birth to the World Diversity Leadership Conference in 2020. We actually had our maiden event in 2021, and we're fortunate enough to have Dr. Martin Luther King. Obviously, as at that time, the theme for that year was focused on human rights. So we had Dr. Martin Luther King as the headliner for 2021. It was a virtual event, but when we had the event, the impact and then the amount of success the event actually achieved propelled us into the following year, which was in 2022. And 2022, obviously, we're coming out from the COVID-19 pandemic. So the theme for that year was focused on entrepreneurship from diverse backgrounds. So we were fortunate to have Honorable Julia Gillard, the former Australia Prime Minister, coming into Edmonton to have as our headliner to talk about women in leadership, and also to throw more highlights on the need why we have to empower other marginalized communities in terms of entrepreneurship, because we needed this as at that time to be able to make sure that SMEs, people from marginalized communities who are struggling already before pre-COVID-19 and during COVID-19 and after COVID-19, they were already struggling. So how do we empower these people? So we started a conversation around that and try as much as possible to bring these policymakers also to the table and try to have these discussions with them and be able to come up with actionable suggestions that they can take home and try and enact some of these policy change to try and help these people. So that is what gave birth to World Diversity in Leadership Conference. This year will be the fourth year. This year, I would say last year, 2020, it's so funny how it goes really fast. 2023, I was going to say this year, but 2023, we were fortunate to have Margaret Trudeau as our headliner because we were talking about climate change and mental health. And obviously, Margaret Trudeau is an icon when it comes to mental health. So next year, which is this year again, the event is focused on advancing ESG through sustainable idea initiative, which is inclusion, diversity, equity, and accessibility. We do this every year during the summer. So we're looking forward to another successful event this year and trying as much as possible to bring the experts, the community leaders, the policymakers, the researchers to the table, and let's have a discussion and everybody can take home some actionable items that they can implement in their various communities. Hilda, if I miss anything, feel free to chip in and add up.
Yeah, definitely. To add to what Patrick said, so coming up with WODL was to identify certain gaps and niches that were within some of the uprising that had come up after George Floyd activities going on around. We realized that there were a lot of initiatives springing up, positions coming up, all these policies about EDI coming up, discussions all over the place. But what were some of the actual actions that needed to be done and holding people responsible for a long-term period? And where do we identify the best resources to support these actions? And as we would know from an expect level, EDI is a competency skills. So we need to build that competency over time and apply it, not in the short term, and not within only a specific society at a point in time, but at a very global level. So how do we not just focus on the information that are in sight of what we see around us as solutions to the issues that we see, but look at a very broad perspective and learn from some of the strategies that others around the globe are using to complement what we already know. So that is why for World Diversity in Leadership Conference, we looked at a global scale to do this work. We first of all wanted to come up with specific tools that can be used by people, going back to the value and vision of CIFI. What are the specific tools that can be given to people through their expertise, through their experience to support this work? So how do we bring it all together?
I love that.
And then how do we get people who are vested in similar work to come together and discuss and explore ideas? Like we all know, knowledge does not thrive in only one person's head, and an idea that you have in your head, you may never know even different ways that you can explore and think about it until you start talking and having these conversations. So that was the idea for coming up with a conference approach to this work. And
I was going to say that's amazing because you've touched on a few key nuggets that I want to expand on. Each year, the theme is relevant to events that are taking place. Last year, mental health was at the forefront of so many conversations, climate change. And so each year, the theme is relevant, it's front and center. And so people can connect with it. But you also touched on another critical point, Hilda, when you talked about all of these positions that were now available around DEI and people in leadership and whatever title that different organizations may put out there. But the positions are now created, but there was no support for those individuals. There was no structure for organizations to be able to measure the success of these programs. And so what is fundamentally important is the fact that you're now bringing all of these experts from across the globe to be able to share their knowledge, but that they can take the nuggets of information and take it back respectively to wherever they came from, whether it's right here in Canada, whether it's as far as Australia, New Zealand, African continent, you name it. And so I think that's how we can start to see the effect of global change, right? It's not just a localized change, but it's a global effect, a global phenomenon. So kudos to the incredible work. And I don't say this lightly, it is important work and incredibly inspiring work that you're both embarking on. So thank you for sharing that knowledge. And I interrupted you as you were going to jump on another thought. So I'd like to let you finish.
I was going to touch on the theme, which you nicely transitioned me to. Like you rightly said, every year we come up with a theme based on the issues that are going on around us to give people the resources that they need to help them navigate and address these issues. And another reason why we continue diversing and addressing different issues is to let people realize that EDI is not one way of looking at things. It can be applied in different ways in our society. And anybody, everybody in any field can leverage EDI resources and expertise to do and advance their work. So we always look at pressing issues going on around us. As you can see, when we started, it was COVID time. We wanted to highlight the importance of diverse workforce in different areas. Then there was, after COVID, when people were getting out into normalcy, some form of normal life, they needed to learn how to build their own entrepreneurial skills that people had come up with new ideas during the COVID period. So how do we support them to come up with those ideas? People have come up with using technology and being innovative. So how do we also support them? Hence the second theme of entrepreneurship and innovation. And last year, there was a lot of the ramifications after COVID, mental health and the discussions with climate change which you can never exhaust with those conversations. So how do we support them with those discussions and help them build capacity to be able to navigate different spaces, not just one place, families, community work, corporate world, private, government, nonprofit, everywhere they find themselves. There is a way that these issues present themselves, and EDI can be leveraged in different ways depending on your experiences to help you address this. So connecting with people who are from different worlds, what are they doing? How are they doing it? What worked? What did not work? What can be used? What cannot be used? Just having those platforms to do that. And then moving forward, we did not just end with climate change. There was obviously so much that we did not discuss. So picking up from there, how can we support organizations, corporate, private, as they are becoming more responsible in their environmental, social, and governance structures to be able to meet their responsibilities in their respective fields? Hence the current theme that we have for 2024, that is advancing ESG through sustainable idea initiative. We don't have to just look at EDI, which is just a framework, but making it accessible, making it a competency that we continue to build on for us to learn and continue help us meet our various responsibilities around us. So it's a continuous learning process, which we want to highlight that is applicable no matter where you find yourself, no matter what field you are in. Do not look at EDI as a social activity. Or even if you are in tech, you are wherever, there is a way you can leverage EDI.
I love that. And that's a critical component of any organization. And with that, unfortunately, we are at the end of this episode, but I want to give you maybe 10 seconds each. What are your hopes and dreams for this year? 10 seconds. I'll start with you, Patrick.
Thanks, Alethia. My hope and dreams for this year's event in July is to continue the discussions on ESG, obviously, and try as much as possible to come up with applicable solutions that people will come in and try as much as possible to take something home, especially when it comes to the participant, and also have the opportunity to network. So that is my hope.
You're up. Hilda, 10 seconds or less.
All right.
Yes, generally we do this because we believe and hope that the future generation holds something strong for everybody. So we want to encourage everybody, believe in yourself, believe in the potentials you have, find opportunities to build your expertise, and the benefits just for you and for the society is limitless.
Amazing. On that note, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for joining us in Conversation with Alethia. It has been an amazing opportunity. And thank you to our audience for tuning in. And we will have to connect again next time. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, Alethia. Bye for now.